Muckrakers. Greetings and salutations, and welcome to episode 32 of Those Muckrakers. I'm Pete.
And I'm Pat.
And holy shit, what a week. So we have secret op-eds. We have Barack Obama finally coming out swinging. We got some wonderful Alex Jones news, some horrible news about the new Supreme Court nominee, and betting odds.
That one was interesting. For one thing, I thought it was funny that the Trump administration can't even narrow down who wrote the op-ed to like 100 people. So let's imagine you're in a corporation of about 100 people, and someone you find out has called you just like a completely unfit, brain-dead moron, and you're like, okay, who said it? And you can't even narrow it down to 100 people. Uh-oh. But we do have people taking bets on who they think it is. So that's funny.
So what we're referring to is in the New York Times, and we're going to read this in a little bit.
But we'll get to this later. This is just a upfront tease.
Somebody wrote an anonymous op-ed piece slamming Trump, and they can't figure out who it is.
Right, but as interesting as that is, we have a crazy guy wearing a donkey head to talk about first.
So in news recently, Alex Jones has been he used to talk about a shadow ban, about how there's some kind of deep state conspiracy to ban him via the algorithm. Well, now they've just banned him. Huh?
A lot of conservatives like to talk about that shadow ban, by the way. Like other, quote-unquote conservative speakers. They call themselves conservative, but they're not conservative, right? They're all, let's face it, they're all reactionaries. They are people who react to what the left does negatively, and they're all pro-Trump because Trump drives the left crazy. That's who they are. Actual conservative values would be completely alien to them.
Well, it's the same way that it's the same way they're doing the Bender thing from Futurama when they're attacking Google and like Facebook. I think it was Don Jr.'s like, yeah, you know what? We're gonna go start our own conservative Facebook with blackjack and hookers.
In fact, forget the blackjack. In fact, I'm gonna go to jail because I'm Donald Trump Jr.
So Alex Jones has finally been completely banned from like Twitter. He's banned from YouTube.
This ain't no shadow ban. Oh, I did get sidetracked on that. I was going to say a lot of conservative people, fake conservative people, complain about shadow ban, but really it's just that a lot of people look away from them because these people are fucking nuts. A, and B, a lot of the times nothing at all is happening. They're just saying it to scare the few people that do follow them into continuing to follow them. It's like, well, this person's saying that people can't see them. That's why they're not very popular. Not because they're crazy. I better stick around and watch. This is serious. But they're lying, right? This is bad faith posting. They're just straight up lying.
Here's the thing. It's the same reason why all these conservative protests haven't done anything. So you know how I tell you what, we're going to boycott Star Wars because they put a woman in it. We're going to boycott Disney. We're going to boycott the Avengers. So right now, like, the Avengers is one of the highest grossing movies of all time. Star Wars is making a ton of money.
Consistently, yep.
Yeah, I don't know if they know what boycott means.
Yeah, they have to actually be the demographic to boycott it. And Star Wars and Marvel are both more sci-fi-ish, so that means smartish, so that means they're probably not the people that are going to see these things. I mean, because a Trump supporter's never been accused of being a bookworm.
Well, so Alex Jones is completely banned, and so they put up, the AV Club put up this video, goes, let's check in to see how he's doing, and it's him in a donkey mask, doing this weird affected demon voice, talking about how it's a demonic conspiracy to come for him and how they're going to burn the U.S. cities. And anyway, I think he's losing his mind because he lost his platform and he's not going to have any money.
Yeah, because he was temp banned from Facebook first of all, and then later he was permanently banned from YouTube and a bunch of other things all at once. And then just recently, yesterday, a few days ago, he was banned from Twitter permanently. He has nowhere to go besides his own website.
Honestly,
and we discussed all this before. Freedom of speech is not freedom of distribution. You can't just.
Yeah.
He has no right to what private businesses do.
Well, here's the thing.
Government shall not enact any laws prohibiting your speech. Does not mean
that private entities. Yeah. So here's my whole thing.
Have to put up with your bullshit.
I think that if I own, and I know that the radio companies won't do it because it's bad for their overall brand, but if I own a radio station, I think I'm hiring him. I think I see dollar signs in the controversy. I know it's crazy and he's deplorable, and as private citizen, Pete, I would have nothing to do with him. But as a station owner that like goes, we need some shocking. We got to get ourselves on the map. I think I'm giving him a job.
So then he can come onto your radio station and talk about the great 666 conspiracy.
But the problem is,
voice,
all the radio stations are owned by big corporate conglomerates that don't want their brand sullied by this crazy dude.
Because was it what was last month? August 6th that all those other places banned him?
Yeah, that's why he called it the conspiracy of 666.
666, yeah, so August 6th, all the other bans happened.
Yeah.
September 6th, this happened. So October 6th, he's saying, and that's when the liberals are going to burn all the American cities from their bunker in, what was it, New Zealand? In their bunker in New Zealand.
Yeah, we don't, look, dude, we don't hate America. We just hate you.
Yeah.
So their protest won't work, which dovetails nicely into recently Nike made Colin Kaepernick.
I got a better segue than that. So as a corporation, Pete, you would invite him onto your radio station just so that his outrage can feed you money. Similarly, Nike and Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah. So Nike put Colin Kaepernick on, like he's their spokesman. I have some problems with this, but
for the 30th anniversary of their Just Do It campaign.
Yeah,
Nike Just Do It. That's been going on 30 years, and he's a spokesman for this special
So I guess I'm kind of in the camp of the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of thing, like pragmatically. Yeah. So Nike
still uses slave labor to make their shoes, right?
And they could easily just cut a little bit out of their bottom line. If you just advance these people to like $5 an hour, you'd make them rich. You know what I mean? And it wouldn't take that much out of your bottom line. So corporations are hijacking social justice issues for their own ends. So I'm not going to be like, Nike's. I mean, I think it shows more than anything the wave. It shows that they took a gamble and they understand which side that most people are on.
Yeah, so which also bodes well for the upcoming November election when we're hoping the blue wave will wipe out the House and we'll finally no longer have the Republicans with absolute control to just destroy America and the world.
I had this weird fantasy that Nunes would lose his seat and then would end up working in retail. That's what I want for him.
Selling Reebok shoes in a store.
Yeah. So because they've put Kaepernick as their spokesperson and his face and everything, conservatives are losing their fucking minds and they're burning all their Nike stuff.
Yeah, these are shoes that they already bought. So burning them only hurts them. It doesn't hurt Nike. And what I hope is that somewhere out there in the world is some deplorable that was like, they can't do Colin Kaepernick, he's black. I'm gonna show them. And then they set their own shoes on fire while they're still wearing them. And they're like, I'm gonna record this and put it on YouTube. And why is it hurting in here? Paul, my feet burn. Take your shoes off, boy. Take my. Oh no! And then he's just burning his own feet. And he starts running back and forth through the house, setting his house on fire with his burning shoes, which he forgot to take off before lighting a blaze. In protest, though.
People keep trying to, they keep trying to put, I don't know if you remember Pat Tillman. He was a guy that quit the NFL and joined, the Rangers and then got killed in friendly fire. And so the thing is, this really comes down to racism, because Pat Tillman, if you look at his politics and, his brother's politics, his family doesn't want him to be used by a conservative, as a conservative puppet. He was actually an atheist. He was very anti-war. He would definitely be anti this administration, according to his family, based on Pat Tillman's views. But they love him because he's a white, square-jawed dude. You know what I mean? Pat Tillman looked like an action hero. Colin Kaepernick is black, and that's what makes them upset.
Yeah, that's entirely it. I mean, whatever issue you might have with Kaepernick or Nike or anything, the deplorables specifically are getting triggered over this because they are snowflakes that can't stand that this issue that Trump dislikes is getting pushed forward out there into the public sphere even more.
So
The
this is
issue being that oh, and by the way, the whole kneeling for the national anthem was suggested to him by a what was it, a ranger?
Yeah, we've been over this.
It was someone in the military who said, because he wanted to sit down during the national anthem, and the ranger was like, "No, that's a little disrespectful to the troops. Why don't you kneel instead? That way you can still be respectful." And he said, "Okay." And then Fox News and Donald Trump says, "No, that's still disrespectful."
Well, there's an interesting Donald Trump angle to this. They asked Donald Trump about it because you figure he'd be all over like this son of a bitch, like. But
that's what he has said that in the past for everyone listening. Trump, whenever he found out that black athletes were kneeling, he was like, "Get those sons of bitches out of here."
Here's the interesting thing, though. They go, "Why aren't you going crazy about this on Twitter at 4 or 5 a.m.?" And he just went like, "Oh, because like Nike rents from me and they pay a lot of money, so." So he doesn't care about this. Like, he only goes back to the kneeling thing when he needs something to hammer on to galvanize his base. He doesn't care, which is probably I guess the most interesting angle of it is they're all like, "We're burning our shoes for you, Trump," and he's like, I make a lot of money off of Nike, so I don't really care."
Maybe whenever you're done burning your shoes, you could go buy another pair of Nikes, because I get to suck the sweet teat off that bottom line. Okay, sad.
So when this whole thing kicked off, the first thought I had, and I kind of said this out loud to the radio, is I just go,
kicked off, a football pun.
I go, who buys shoes?
Everyone. Most people.
Well, yeah, everyone needs shoes, but I'm getting at the point of like, who says who? I'm getting about like if you're looking at your demographic of like who's buying sneakers and stuff like that. It's not fat old white rednecks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not they're not like slapping on some Jordans.
I was saying that earlier with the people who are the people going to see those movies. It's not the deplorables. Who are the people buying Nike? It's not the deplorables. They can't afford Nikes. They're out there buying cheaper shoes like I do.
It was the same thing when they were like destroying the Keurig coffee machines in a conservative boycott. Again, the coffee machines they'd already bought. They
actually had to buy more coffee machines to destroy them because most of them didn't own Keurigs.
Yeah, so you had to go out. You basically did the opposite of a boycott. You put more money in the company's bottom line to prove your point.
And if you look at Nike stocks, they've actually only gone up since this campaign has started.
Right, because again, who buys shoes? Not Nazis, apparently. Like I've never seen a Nazi ad where they're like, "Do you want to know how to run faster, jump higher, and kill more minorities? Air Jordan."
They should point out how whenever you wear the Air Jordan, it doesn't hurt your shins whenever you go to goose step, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And then more of them might buy it.
I've not seen that ad yet, but yeah, like I'm like, listen,
man. You do not see that ad?
No, I missed that ad. So it's another one of their and it'll pass too. That's the thing. So they're ineffective. In fact, opposite of ineffective. Well, not the opposite of ineffective, but opposite of boycott. They're super like. It's basically like they're giving little stimulus packages to these companies every time they want to boycott them.
Yeah, and I mean, I was gonna say I'd been saying that for a long time about how the deplorables could actually boycott anything because they tend to be historically not our best and brightest folks, so they don't have the money to spend on this stuff to begin with. It's either the non-deplorables or also the billionaires that also profit off Donald Trump's presidency.
Yeah.
That can affect the world economy. The deplorables basically just sit in their shacks buying guns and ammo, and that's
exactly.
it.
So it wasn't like Colin Kaepernick endorsed like the new Bushmaster machine gun or assault rifle, like. But I would.
Yeah, at that point, they could have actually affected the sales of something.
Actually, you know what? I kind of wish that like we'd put Colin Kaepernick as the new like spokesperson for Smith and Wesson because I want to see
Guns and Ammo or something magazine. That way. That would be all the gun control we needed, and then all of our children don't have to get shot. Sacrificed to the blood god NRA.
Well, what I want is I want him to like actually rep a big gun company because I want to see deplorables burning their own guns.
Oh my God! They throw all their bullets into the fire, and they just start going off in every direction.
Oh no! Pa's been shot. Damn you, Colin Kaepernick.
Help me! I done got bit by a mosquito. mosquito. It's not a mosquito, Grandma. It's a bullet.
I was burning.
Bullets running through the house.
I was burning my guns in protest, and then something jumped up and bit me in the butt.
Something jumped up and bit me in the buttocks. Oh, really? I would like to see that. Okay.
But yeah, so
Sad.
like, that's what's going on in protest news. In other news, I wanted to talk a little bit about and I've heard yes and no, so I'm actually on the edge of my seat about this. They're trying to
No.
Yes? What?
I was just gonna say no, then yes.
Oh,
and I did.
You scared me. So the new Supreme Court justice they're trying to ram through.
Oh no.
Yeah, Brett Kavanaugh.
I will put this up front. I've been trying to avoid SCOTUS news because this is like one of the worst things Trump can do to us. This is one of the longest lasting bits of damage he can do to this country, which will way outlive him and his deplorable
We talked
family.
about it last time. If the Democrats can take back over, they can actually add more justices to even it out, and they should.
Yes, because there's nothing in the Constitution that says we have to have 9, so we can just go up to 11, and then we would have we'd have the majority of SCOTUS again. And we'll be doing that about the same time Judge Thomas starts to get a little super old, and then we can replace him too.
Well, so here with Brett Kavanaugh, Brett Lasagna. I'm gonna call him Brett Lasagna.
Yeah.
So he
Brett Canyonero.
So he was a conservative justice, and I originally took the stance and go, maybe he's not so bad. He says that Roe versus Wade is settled law. Turns out he's a liar, pants on fire.
Yeah.
Not only the Democrats are doing everything they can to obstruct, even though the Republicans have a supermajority and almost certainly have the vote to get him through.
I mean, they're going to ram him through. They had the exact same number of people they had back when what's-his-face was going through. And in the event of a tie, Pence has shown that historically he'll just go in there and do the tiebreaker. So there's no way the Dems can actually stop this. Best they can do is stall it. And if they can stall it for 3 months, then the Dems will have the majority again, and they can actually block him, but that's never going to happen. That's why all this paperwork, thousands of pages worth of paperwork that's supposed to be released and reviewed carefully by everyone, is not being released at all. Instead, the Republicans compromised and said, we're going to give you 20 pages and you're going to like it, and then they didn't even give them that until they were like, their arms were twisted and they were forced to, and then the Dems decided to release those pages publicly.
So what bothers me most is he's a liar. He's definitely going to try to overturn Roe versus Wade, or do what they often do, which is do everything that you can do to undermine the law by restricting abortion clinics. Like, I think Texas right now has the state of Texas has 2 abortion clinics. It's a big state, so if you if you need an abortion, you got to drive hundreds of miles. It's disgusting.
So also, all kinds of other rights, gay rights, gone. Gay marriage is the law of the land right now, right? He can overturn that. He can make it so it's not only not legal, he can make it actively illegal. You can be like, no, he won't. Who's going to stop him? Are you going to stop him? Nobody can stop him. He can just do whatever he wants, because the only swing vote was, what was that guy's name? He just left? Kennedy, yeah. And he's the guy leaving and getting replaced by this guy. So all of your rights gone, minority rights gone. They've already, back when Kennedy was still there, they were already getting rid of minority rights. All those voter rights laws, they threw out the window. They're all like, you know what, racism's gone, so we're just gonna.
It'll push us further towards. So we need to overturn campaign finance law. We need to make it so that you can't basically, the corporations can't just donate unlimited amounts of money.
And that can't happen for at least another 2.25 years, right? Because not only do we need the House back, but then we need the Senate back, and we need the presidency back, and then we can fix SCOTUS. So in the year 2020, if everything is solid blue, then we can fix this mess. But until then, all of your rights are in jeopardy, because all they're concerned about is the bottom line of businesses, and the best way to do that is to keep the deplorables riled up with boogeymen. And the best boogeymen is something they don't understand, and something they don't understand is anything that's not them,
or
their own selves,
or women's reproductive rights. So here's what really bothers me.
Well, the deplorables are mostly men, so of course they don't understand women. I ain't a woman, so I don't get it.
I think what most upsets me is one of his dissents was in that it was says here using a Yahoo article, but it says during the hearing, Senator Ted Cruz asked Brett Lasagna about his dissent in a case that involved Priests for Life, a religious group that fought an Affordable Care Act regulation requiring many employers to provide free insurance coverage for birth control to female employees. In the case, Priests for Life objected to an offer by the Obama administration that would allow them to get a waiver by filling out a form. They said filling out the form, this is Brett Lasagna quoted, they said filling out the form would make them complicit in the provision of the abortion-inducing drugs that they were, as a religious matter, objected to. So either he believes or he sides with the people that think that birth control is an abortion-inducing drug, when in fact it prevents pregnancy. It's like, there's nothing wrong with like people getting abortions, but also this prevents people that have to get abortions. So
yeah, it's the same thing as illegalizing condoms, which I'm sure Catholics would also try and do.
Yeah, so
I digress.
Fuck the Catholics. Here's the thing. Fuck you, fuck religious people. Look, if something was in your religion, don't take birth control. Don't wear condoms, whatever. But that doesn't mean that like I have to have a baby. So they don't want you to take birth control. They don't want to get you abortions, but they also want to cut like school funding and like welfare for kids and stuff like that. So it's like they want you to have a baby and then they want its life to suck.
Yeah. Their goal is for you to have lots of kids and then to just tear your heart out as they all die in your arms.
Yeah. So I mean that because at first I was like, oh, maybe he said that. Nope, he's everything that we feared in a justice. And it is believed that the only reason that President...
And he's also really young, so he's going to be here for like 30 or 40 years. He will have control over your life for that long. Are you going to be alive another 30 or 40 years? I hope so, because if you're not, then you'll never get to live to see the day in which this problem will be resolved. That's why I'm trying to tune out the SCOTUS thing, because I realize this is something that's going to be around for a long time.
There is a silver lining. There is good news to this. We only need, I think we need 2 Republicans to flip. And
2 Republicans, and we can block him.
Right, and there are 2, I can't remember their names. I believe she's the Republican from Maine, and then there's another female Republican. And I hope to God, I'm like, you are women. It is your responsibility to flip. You understand this. You should stop this guy.
Are those the same 2 women that flipped on the Obamacare Act?
I almost am 100% sure, although I can't remember their names. I think, is it Elizabeth Warren? Is she the one from? No, that's not her, right?
What? No, Elizabeth Warren's the Democrat.
Sorry. Anyway, yeah. So
Elizabeth Warren is the person Trump calls Pocahontas.
Yeah, I mean, like it's going to be tight, but like they may not get him through. It's very possible. So, I mean, fingers crossed, man. And this is why you're not paying attention to SCOTUS news, and I'm on the edge of my seat going, oh, come on. Cory Booker, who I still think I'm going to vote for in 2020 if he runs, had a Spartacus moment when he kept interrupting the guy, and the guy's like, you are not recognized, and he's like, I'm going to release the secret documents. You can punish me if you want. And all the other Democrats were like, me too. I'm with him. You'll have to punish me. And then, like, it was a great moment, but it's like the Democrats are finally doing what we need them to do, but it's a bit late.
Yeah, the Democrats really haven't been fighting about anything for a long time now. It's so weird seeing them actually do anything besides just sit quietly on the sidelines.
I think
I get the tactic of don't interrupt your enemy when they're in the process of destroying themselves.
Yeah.
But after a while, this is like the Republicans are starting to feel like Monty Python's Black Knight. It's like, okay, they are seriously not going to die on their own. I don't care how many of their own limbs they cut off. They are freaking Octodad. They're just growing back more tentacles to cut off at this point. Let's just we got to do something.
I assume that with the Democrats, it took a while for them to go, nah, he's not really a Hydra, is he? No. I mean, come on, 3 heads doesn't make you a Hydra, right? Okay, 4 heads? Okay, 16 heads? Okay, he's not he's a Hydra. He's a Hydra, and he's eating the Supreme Court.
Okay, sad.
But again, in more good news, so we teased it earlier, the op-ed piece. I love this so much.
Oh, we have let's do one other news and then get into that.
Yeah, what do you got?
Just it's been Trump's really sad news week this week because the New York Times article came out after a different piece of media released that also painted him in a really bad light.
Are you going
Bob
to tell us
Woodward.
about it? Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Bob
yeah. Oh,
Bob Woodward released a book. Now, this is a guy who's written a book about every American president since Nixon because he is one half of the people that took down the
well,
Nixon
yeah.
administration,
It was
right?
Woodward and
Is Woodward
Bernstein.
and Bernstein.
The thing about Bob
And Bob
Woodward is
Woodward,
he's the closest to journalist Jesus that you'll ever find.
yeah. So he released a book called Fear that Donald Trump said is fake because Bob Woodward never interviewed him about it, and he never interviewed him about it because all of Trump's staff was too afraid to tell Trump that Woodward wanted to speak to him.
Yeah, well, they played audio when he finally got a hold of him. He goes, Trump goes, well, hold on. Well, I don't know, my people, I guess some wires got, I never heard, Bob's like, well, I tried to call, and it's like, you don't have people that are I guess, I assume it's probably going to be negative, but like, he sounded like a guy that was like, yeah, I guess I'll buy the Chevy, I really wanted to get the Ford, but all right, I guess it's, like, so he did talk to Bob Woodward, but yeah, like, trying to get
Woodward
through.
My favorite part's that it sounded like he was trying to convince Woodward not to release the book by like appealing to the angels of his better nature. Woodward,
Yeah.
you've always been a very fair, even-handed person, so I'm sure that this book will be accurate and not fake news. That kind
So
of thing,
Woodward,
right?
the great thing about Woodward is he's won 2 Pulitzers, I think, and he's never had like a retraction. Like, he's never had a source that wasn't correct. Like, you
Right.
can't get more like I mean,
Accurate.
like, you couldn't get any more integrity. And so the problem with the book is that, like, everyone's like, listen, I'm gonna fucking tell you this, but do not put my fucking name on it, okay? So like, they've got a bunch of protected sources, or like people that didn't come out and go, and my name is Mike Pence.
Right.
But it's Bob Woodward, so if you want to weigh Bob Woodward's honesty versus like the president, Bob Woodward's going to win, and it becomes more and more difficult to like try to discredit people as they come out. I've pre-ordered the book, by the way. It comes out on 9/11. I'm excited to listen to it. They've already started releasing bits and pieces of it. Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about my favorite bits and pieces of the bits and pieces.
Yes, let's talk about the bits and pieces.
It's in this book we get accounts of how everyone around old Derpy recognizes him as the dotard that he is, one saying that he had the understanding of a 5th grader. And personally, I believe that's inaccurate because a 5th grader is like 10 or 11 years old, right?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know.
But by 10, you are canonically old enough to start your own Pokemon journey in the Pokemon universe. And there's no way Trump is smart enough not to choke to death on his own Pokeballs if he were released into the woods with them.
I could see Trump hitting himself, and I could see Trump in the Pokemon universe catching himself with a Pokeball.
He throws it bounces off a tree, hits himself in the head, and he catches himself. Oh no, disaster!
Fake balls, fake Pokemon.
So the very best part of the book is that Trump was going to sign a document in this one letter that would destroy a trade agreement with South Korea, right?
Yeah.
And his handlers, the people around him, were like, "We can't let him do that. What are we going to do?" And this one guy, is it Gary Cohn?
I think so.
His last name's Cohn at any rate. I didn't write his first name down for some reason, but Gary Cohn was like, "Don't worry, fellas, I can handle this." And he just walked into Trump's office when he wasn't there, flipped the letter right off his desk, and Trump completely forgot about it because, like the toddler he is, he doesn't have object permanence, and if it's not there, he doesn't know it ever existed. Oh, you're not there anymore. I guess you're gone now.
Yeah.
But yeah. So you can trick the president just by removing something from his field of vision, like a T-Rex.
Well, this is terrifying.
This is a guy who I've been saying all along he's just playing president. He's not really president, and this is more evidence towards that. So if he was really a president, this would be something he knew he needed to do, and he would remember it, but he doesn't remember it because it's just something he's doing for show, probably because he thought South Korea was North Korea, and he was angry at Kim Jong-un because he wouldn't call him back.
Well, he also apparently was like, why do we have missile defense? I'm sorry. Why do we have missile defense in South Korea? Fuck it. Take it out and put it in Oregon.
Yeah, that's right. He was going to do that, but you know what the military did when he said that?
What?
They didn't follow his orders. They didn't follow his orders. Like, no, we're not doing that. And then they told South Korea, we're don't worry about don't worry about what he said.
Yeah, there
So
was I
yeah,
can't find the quote, but there was one I guess about like James Mattis where they're like, he goes like, oh listen, because I don't have a good Mattis voice. What you do is you stay the fuck out of town and you try to stay out of it as long as you can. And everyone's like, wait, what? I guess he's just like, leave.
Mattis called him a fucking moron, and we have another account of that. This is the guy who historically has called him a moron or an idiot in the past, and when asked about it, he's all like, look, I didn't say that, and it's ridiculous you believe it. And then whenever they asked him about it again from this book, he released the exact same letter again, like word for word, saying, oh, it's ridiculous, I didn't say that, we all know he didn't say that. So it's just funny how he has like a stock answer for a no, I didn't call him an idiot, even though he clearly is.
They're trying to protect their jobs, but at this point, like, anybody that would step up and just go, yeah, I said it, would be considered a hero, and you might even get to be the next president. Like, stop clinging to this guy. Yeah. All right, so we ready to talk about the op-ed piece?
So that's not the end of Trump's very, very bad news week, because right after the Woodward book, the select chapters from it dropped, this happened. Hit him, Pete.
Oh, yes. So, somebody wrote an op-ed opinion piece for the New York Times called, I am part of the resistance inside the Trump administration. I work for the president, but like-minded colleagues and I have vowed to thwart parts of his agenda and his worst inclinations. So it's anonymous because whoever it is didn't have the fucking cojones to come out and say it, or to come out and, like, sign their name to it.
Some people think it's Pence.
Well, I wanted to talk about that too.
Because he uses like words that only Mike Pence uses, like lodestone or something like that.
I've got a theory on that too. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to read to you the op-ed piece, or at least pieces of the op-ed piece,
Sure.
And then I wanted to talk about it. So the Times published it. They won't give up who said it. You know, Trump thinks we should force them to say it. All the.
Well, so, quick question: if it's completely fake news, if this isn't real, then why does he want a source, huh? Anyway.
Well, I thought what a great stroke of genius it would be if the New York Times just kind of dropped this in here and it wasn't from the Trump administration. What if they just put an op-ed piece and they're just watching everybody go, "Ah, was it you?
Yeah, because the whole White House is in chaos right now because Trump knows that this shit is real, and he's even said publicly many times that anything he calls fake news is just news he doesn't like. If he doesn't like it, he says it's fake news.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily actually fake. Actual fake lies is stuff that he does constantly. But
so
anyway,
it goes,
continue.
and it goes. I'm going to read this to you. President Trump is facing a test to his presidency unlike any faced by a modern American leader. All right, so right there, fuck you. No, he's not. That would have been better written if it said President Trump is a test of the presidency unlike any faced by the modern American people. Yeah, he's testing the presidency. He's facing a test to his presidency. You know who faced a test to his presidency? Fucking FDR.
Yeah. I was going to say Obama because he had nonstop, unprecedented obstruction.
Yeah, I was going to say Obama because he was black, and apparently everybody in Congress and the House and the Senate are racist. So he continues. It's not just the special counsel, that the special counsel looms large, or that the country is bitterly divided over Mr. Trump's leadership. Actually, not that divided. Polls are showing that we're all pretty much on the same side. Or even that his party might well lose the House to an opposition hell-bent on his downfall. The dilemma, which he does not fully grasp, is that many of the senior officials in his own administration are working diligently from within to frustrate parts of his agenda and his worst inclinations. I would know. I am one of them. I am Batman.
I am Batman.
To be clear, ours is not the popular resistance of the left. We want the administration to succeed and think that many of its policies have already made America safer and more prosperous. Again, whoever you are, fuck you. Like,
yeah.
But
that man?
Go ahead.
Whoever these people are, they're trying to reassure everyone that don't worry, we're here, but we're making sure that his agenda happens. And what annoys me is that all they're doing is just like suffocating the 10 or 30 or 50% of his agenda. That stuff like, well, what if we took all the black people and shot them into the sun?
Yeah.
Oh, we can't let him say that publicly, so
Exactly.
we better stop that. That's all they're doing. But if they would just go ahead and let him do that, then America would see clearly. It's like, oh, this guy's fucking crazy. And then we would get rid of him faster. But instead, they're making him just digestible enough that Fox News can still spin it successfully and keep him in the White House and keep his abominable agenda rolling along.
You know what I say to that? I say, but we believe our first duty is to this country, and the president continues to act in a manner that is detrimental to the health of our republic. That is why many Trump appointees have vowed to do what we can to preserve our democratic institutions while thwarting Trump's more misguided impulses until he is out of office.
It was a very smart man said that that is not how our democracy is supposed to work. None of these people that are thwarting him from within are duly elected officials. We need actual intelligent elected officials to do things right the first time, not people from within trying to frustrate the agenda. And you know who said that?
I'm going to guess President Barack Obama.
Yep. Let me be clear. This is not how democracy is supposed to work. Anyway, continue.
The root of the problem is the president's amorality. Anyone who works with him knows he is not moored to any discernible first principles that guide his decision-making. I'd say his amorality is the least of his problems. I would say his lack of intelligence is probably the worst of his problems. It's fine to be immoral. I think as a politician, you kind of might even be a better politician if you don't necessarily stick to a moral ideology and maybe you stick to a pragmatic one.
Yeah, because if you stick to a moral ideology, reality could prove itself in the God, this is hard to explain, but
and look, if you're moral, you're more unlikely. If you're very strongly moral, you're more unlikely to change your mind and compromise.
Right. Like, what if my moral is what if all my morals surround the family values unit, right? Like this fictitious nuclear family that was invented by marketing.
Yeah.
But it also happens to be really fucking bad for gay people, right? Because then they can shriek and shrill that, well, gay people are bad for the family unit, the nuclear family unit. But that's...
what if my morals are that all vaginas should be stapled shut until women are married? Like, that's crazy, right? If I would, but an amoral stance is a little bit better.
So when reality comes out with, the vagina is actually too delicate for staples to be constantly reinserted into them, well, then because you have a moral stance, you have to go against reality.
My morals.
And yep, exactly.
These morals these morals don't run. I'm going to burn my Nikes.
That's why basing your policies on morals isn't necessarily a great thing.
Yeah. Although he was elected as a Republican, the president shows little affinity for ideals long espoused by conservatives. Free minds, free markets, free people, and free ham. I'm actually adding stuff in there.
I was about to say I'm for the free ham. Oh my god, I saw something that I meant to take a picture of and send it to you. Trump was right all along, Peter. I saw a taco truck on the corner.
I don't understand the if you're gonna all right, look. If we're gonna be if we're gonna be racist here, I think we need to be specifically racist, and I think we need to not be racist against Hispanics because their food is delicious. Have you ever had fucking Spanish food? It's amazing. Why do I hate that group?
I think everyone has. But Trump said, what was it? If Hillary Clinton wins, what she's gonna do is have taco trucks on every corner.
Dude,
and I saw one on the corner.
That's just a good platform. No one, even racist people like what was it, Stephen Miller, love Mexican food. Like. You're racist, but you're like, well, goddamn, but the food is fucking delicious. I mean, I'm going to take their kids from them, but these taco trucks are just the best.
Seasoned with their tears because I took all their children. Yeah.
So he goes on to say, at best, he has invoked these ideals in scripted settings. At worst, he has attacked them outright. Okay, look. Conservatives for a while now have not supported free minds, free markets, and free people. That's exactly the opposite of the current Republican. Like, I'm glad that he's amoral because if he was really stuck on this conservative bent, he would be even worse.
Ah, I mean, of course, I'm not sure how much different he would be because all he's been doing is rubber stamping everything the GOP puts in front of him. including the stuff that he just sort of wanders away from. Remember all that earlier on in his presidency when they were still getting him to rubber stamp stuff?
Right.
And he would like have a big press conference and be like, and I'm going to sign this and it's going to be bigly. And then he would just put it down and walk out the room.
Because you know what that was,
it.
right? That's reality TV star stuff. As soon as like the cameras flash and you go, we good, we got it, okay, we got a couple takes, all right, everybody. And then like, because you don't realize it's a real job because you're still a fucking reality TV star.
Yeah, he has to actually sign the and that's not even that much of a job. I can fucking sign a piece of paper, which is apparently something Trump can't do because he walked away from it.
But he sure can't eat it.
Which is another part of... Was that part of the op-ed? No, that was Omarosa. Never mind.
All right.
God, there's been a lot of bad news about him lately.
In addition,
from first-hand accounts.
In addition to his mass marketing of the notion that the press is the enemy of the people, President Trump's impulses are generally anti-trade and anti-democratic. Don't get me wrong. There are bright spots in that the near ceaseless negative coverage of the administration fails to capture. Effective deregulation, historic tax reform, a more robust military, and more. Motherfucker. Like
there is zero historicness to that tax. There was no tax reform. It was not tax reform. It was not tax reform. No matter how many times they call it tax reform, it was a tax cut for the wealthy that the poor is going to pay for.
So here's the thing: effective deregulation,
a historic tax scam.
Effective deregulation, yeah. Very effective if you're a company that makes more money by dumping toxic waste in the water. Absolutely. Historic tax reform, awesome if you're super rich because now you're richer. A more robust military. We already have the biggest military budget. We don't need to put any more money in the military. We're not at war.
They literally did nothing for the military. Like it was the exact same spending bill that has always. It followed exactly the same pattern that it followed for Obama's entire administration. Nothing unexpected happened. He didn't do anything for them. Period. He didn't sign anything special for them.
So. But these successes have come despite, not because of the president's leadership style, which is impetuous, adversarial, petty, and ineffective. From the White House to executive branch departments and agencies, senior officials will privately admit their daily disbelief at the commander-in-chief's comments and actions. Most are working to insulate their operations from his whims. Meetings with him veer off topic and off the rails. He engages in repetitive rants, and his impulsiveness results in half-baked, ill-formed, occasionally reckless decisions that have to be walked back. There is literally no telling whether he might change his mind from one minute to the next. A top official complained to me recently, exasperated by an Oval Office meeting in which the president flip-flopped on a major policy decision he'd made only a week before. Erratic behavior would be more concerning if it weren't for unsung heroes in and around the White House. Some of his aides have been cast
not unsung heroes.
Some of his aides have been cast as villains by the media, but in private, they have gone to great lengths to keep bad decisions contained to the West Wing, though they are clearly not always successful. So, basically, you're going, we didn't let him blow up the world, but we're still helping him rubber stamp the stuff that's destroying the country.
I helped Dr. Claw finish his doomsday machine, but I didn't let him fire it on the city more than once. Batman. I'm sort of jumping around media there, but you get the idea.
It goes on for a while. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's the same repetitive ideal that, like, you know, they're quietly working against the elected president or the illegitimate president, whatever you call him.
I do think it's hilarious that this threw the White House into chaos mode again, but
well, that's
besides that, like, they're not really doing that much.
I want to end it with the last part. He goes, Senator John McCain put it best in his farewell letter. All Americans should heed his words and break free of the tribalism trap, with the high aim of uniting through our shared values and love of this great nation. How dare you quote John McCain? I didn't always like McCain, but you, like, John McCain, say what you will. If anybody was kind of heroic, I mean, like, he was also kind of a shitbag in certain ways, but, I mean, the man was tortured and, you know, stayed tortured to support his fellow POWs. And then you're going to write an op-ed piece, an anonymous op-ed piece, telling me what a great job, you break your arm, pat in your back, and tell me what a great job you've done thwarting Trump's worst ideas. Like, you haven't. That's the thing. So there was a piece I read that was very interesting. It was from a guy that worked in the Reagan White House when Reagan had been shot, and they weren't sure that Reagan was up to snuff, you know. The 25th Amendment was put in to allow you to remove a president who was incapacitated or who had gone like
Right.
full Caligula, right?
And to be clear, it's not a constitutional crisis if you invoke the 25th Amendment, but rather it's the Constitution working as intended if you invoke
Right.
it.
So what they did was they invoked the 25th Amendment. I think he was Reagan's chief of staff. So they pulled in the other guys, the White House aides, other people. They did interviews. They talked it out. They talked to the proper people about like, should we invoke the 25th Amendment? They interviewed the president on some stuff. And then they determined that he was in capacity. He was in full capacity to fulfill the duties of his office. They did it like you should, right? They didn't write a stupid, snide pat on the back. I am the quiet resistance. Like, whoever wrote this is a piece of shit.
Resisty.
So what they're doing right now is there's betting odds on who wrote it, right?
Right.
So you
So
can actually.
I haven't heard what the odds are on right now, but
I'm trying to pull it up right now, but right now
while you're
there we go.
pulling it up, there's some amazing late night tweets from Trump about this.
Oh.
One was treason in all caps with a question mark, and the best response to that was, "Oh no, this is Twitter, not Google."
Yeah, no, I saw that, but I didn't know about the op-ed piece yet. And I go, I don't know, is it? Like, what is are you asking what treason is? You stupid fuck. Like, all right. Go ahead.
And of all people, he summoned Kim Jong-un as a character witness for him not being a unhinged dotard. You know, the guy that called him a dotard not long ago.
His trials.
Yeah, the guy who never
Well,
mind.
I guess we know that
there's a lot of problems with him.
we
the
know that
murderous
Kim Jong-un
dictator.
didn't write it because it didn't say dotard in it.
Yep.
So wagers on who wrote this. Wagers on Mike Pence carried 150 to 1 odds, meaning a successful 150 or 150 odds. 150 wager would generate a profit of $100. Of course, Pence denied it.
You said if it's 1 to 150, wouldn't that mean for every $1 you wager, if it is him, you'd get 150?
Yeah, I said that wrong. It just says 150 odds. So I guess not 1 to 150. Education Secretary DeVos ran a close second with 200 odds.
DeVos? No, there's no fucking way.
Secretary of
She's
State
a monster.
Mike Pompeo, John Kelly, Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin all had 400 plus odds.
Mnuchin?
Yeah. So then
I don't know him as
so their
well.
whole thing is they think it's Go ahead.
I want to preface this by saying there's no way it's Mike Pence, because he's expecting to be the next president of the United States, and he would never want something like this overshadowing his presidency. So.
Yeah, so that was going to be my other thing. Is so they think that a lot of people are saying it might be Pence, and we know that
It uses his language, but I think whoever wrote it might have actually included that just almost as an Easter egg to throw people off the trail of who it actually is.
That's what I was actually going to say, is that so he's used the word lodestone in a thing before, and I think it's in a part I didn't read, but I guess he uses lodestone in the op-ed. So I actually think that.
That's a weird vocabulary choice that Mike Pence uses in a lot of his different.
Yeah, there's a video of him being
like,
where they just have him going, so anyway, lodestone, 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 lodestone. Like, he just says it a whole bunch. So I honestly, my theory is, and I don't think it's Pence, because the way that the office is so backbitey, I think that somebody might be trying to angle in to take Pence's job, right? So if you can
and also, it's not full of grammar errors.
So we know
it wasn't Trump.
Yeah, we know Trump didn't write it because it doesn't slur its S's. He did that again recently. He was trying to talk about the op-ed piece, and he was like,
he was so mad about it. He's just slurring every other word.
He was like, it was an anonymous. It was. I'm like, is he having a fucking stroke? Can we just get a doctor?
He sounds like that.
Yeah, they said it could be anything from a stroke to like misplaced dentures. I'm like, dude, slurring your speech is real bad. If you go to WebMD and you go slurred speech, it doesn't go, maybe you just have a bad day. Like, it's all the worst stuff, like brain damage, stroke, heart attack.
Yeah, his brain's falling out his fucking ear. He's barely alive right now, and yet he's leader of the free world.
So I honestly, I don't think it's Pence at all, because I think Pence knows that he just has to sit pretty, and he'll get to be president for a while. I also think Pence is too much of a butt boy to Trump to ever do anything like this. You know what I mean? I don't think that Pence
there's some There's some amazing like analysis videos of Pence and Trump in the same room, and he is such a puppet to Trump.
Oh yeah. He's like a lapdog. I'm surprised that Trump doesn't sit down and go, Pence,
Yeah.
Pence, come here, boy. And then like Pence just jumps up in his lap and is like, like he's good.
Like,
he's a good vice president. He's a good boy.
That's pretty much Pence's role. My favorite one though is Trump sitting at a desk doing whatever, listening to someone else talk, and Trump grabs his water and takes it off the desk and puts it on the fucking floor. Right? Bizarre goddamn thing for someone to do, but whatever. It's Trump. The second Trump goes to do this, Pence grabs his own water and takes it off the desk and puts it on the floor.
Yeah, exactly. That's the kind of guy Pence is.
He's miming him, even if what Trump does is stupid.
Yeah, so I don't think it's Pence, and I think the betting odds are because someone either is trying to, I don't know, who's next in line for secession it's Paul Ryan, right?
Yeah, it's Paul Ryan and then Orrin Hatch after him.
So I could see Paul Ryan doing something like this. Paul Ryan is a sneaky snake.
He doesn't really work in the White House, though.
Yeah, but this doesn't mean that they work in the White House. Nothing in there proves that this person works in the White House. Paul Ryan actually did something recently where he took the security clearance applications for Democratic, Democratic opposition in like key places that was running against. They were running against Republicans, and then gave that information to a Republican, what do you call it? The companies they pay to do opposition research. Super fucking illegal, by the way. So they're taking classified documents from the government, people's security clearance.
So that's Watergate, right? He just did a Watergate.
Yeah, he did
Stealing
a fucking So coming from Trump, they did a fucking Watergate. That was one of the things that Nixon got in trouble for. He was trying to use the tax returns of his Democratic opponents against them in opposition research. That was one of the articles of impeachment.
So like fucking Paul Ryan should be out of here now.
Yeah, well,
but they're so blatantly being criminals because the order of magnitude's worst behavior coming from Trump on an hourly basis is like it's perfect cover for this, right? If bombs are going off over the city, you're not paying attention to who's smashing windows and stealing TVs.
Exactly. So I wouldn't put it past like Paul Ryan, because think about it, like if it was Paul Ryan, he's not on any of the betting odds. Everyone goes, oh, it must have been somebody inside the Trump White House. If you wanted to be the next president, what you have to do is you have to get Trump to fire Pence. And how do you do that? You just write a stupid letter.
Make it look like Pence.
Yeah, you put a stupid letter that says lodestone in it, and then immediately Trump's like, I've solved the
riddle.
I've solved the mystery. I am Encyclopedia Brown. It was Pence all along. And Pence is like, yep, it was me, because Pence is going to agree with whatever he says, right? So if he's
that's brilliant. Yeah. That's actually a really smart idea.
It was Michael Pence. And he's like,
I agree. That's really, really smart, sir. Yes, sir.
Very astute of you. You're fired. Okay, I'm fired. All right, I'll clear out my desk right now. I don't think it's Pence. I don't think it's anybody inside the Trump White House. I think that the people inside the White House, if it was anybody, they're not doing it for any noble cause. They're just trying to snipe Pence. That's my theory on it.
I like the Colbert Clue edition. It's like, who wrote it and where did they write it? Was it Mike Pence on a notepad in the Oval Office? Was it Eric Trump with his head stuck in the banister on his own arm? Was it was it Stephen Miller in the basement hanging upside down from the ceiling on a rack of human flesh?
Because that's how he sleeps. Yeah, so that's what's going on right now, which is it's great that oh my god, that your White House is in such chaos that you're like, who wrote this? And everyone's like, fuck, I don't know.
It could be anyone.
Yeah, it could be. It really is a game of Clue. It could be fucking anyone.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a game of Clue, and we haven't even started playing yet. So all the bets are on.
So
So let's see.
In other news, in other op-ed news, President, I keep wanting to call him president because he's just so presidential. Obama made a speech on the State of American.
That is correct. You keep the title president after being president. The only time you would call him former president is if you're not including his name. But if you say Obama, you would say President Obama.
I like it. So President Obama makes a speech to who was he talking to? He was at some university. A university in Illinois. Yeah.
But he is hitting the campaign trail for Democrats right now. He just started this new campaign season.
And it's like
we actually have more Obama to look forward to.
He was accepting an ethics award, which like, man, it's hard for me to be critical of him, and I am, and of his presidency. But like, the man just like left with poise and grace, and didn't come out when I think a lot of us would if I was the former president and Trump succeeded me and just burned down everything that I'd worked for. It'd be really hard for me to just sit back and go, you know what, Michelle, I'm gonna be in the garage, and you're gonna hear a lot of loud noises. I'm gonna be punching walls, but I'm not gonna go on TV, and I'm not gonna say anything. Yeah, that would be really hard for me to do, because as soon as a microphone was in my face, I'd be like, fuck this dude.
I mean, we're critical of Obama the same way we'd be critical of going to a restaurant and the waiter was a little slow and we didn't get a refill and like maybe the toast was slightly burnt.
I was going to say, I'm critical of Obama the same way if I went to a restaurant and a drone strike killed a bunch of kids. I'd be like, okay, look, maybe it wasn't the restaurant's fault, but a drone strike did kill a bunch of children in this restaurant, and they did register on strikemyrestaurantwithadrone.com.
Well, I mean, that's the same stuff is happening under Trump, but a lot more unfettered because there's no reins on the military right now.
Exactly.
All.
No one's watching the ball.
Also, they're able to do this without the news picking it up because of the nonstop shit show over here. They're getting away with bombing way more kids. But anyway, like I was saying, it's like a burnt toast at one restaurant versus you go to like a warehouse to eat, and instead of eating, they like beat you to the ground with a severed whale penis for an hour.
I want to give
that's the Trump administration.
I want to give you a little.
Then they make you eat it.
A little piece of the Obama speech, if I can.
Okay.
It says.
Let's hear it.
But just a glance at the recent headlines should tell you that this moment really is different. The stakes are really higher. The consequence of any of us sitting on the sidelines are more dire. And it's not as if we haven't had big elections before or big choices to make in our history. The fact is that democracy has never been easy. Our founding fathers argued about everything. We waged a civil war, we overcame depression, and we've lurched from eras of great progressive change to periods of retrenchment. Still, most Americans alive today, certainly the students who are here, have operated under some common assumptions about who we are and what we stand for. And he's just such a classy guy. Like, I encourage everybody, like, it's on CBS News, Obama's full speech on the state of American democracy. It's such a well-written speech.
And notice how he didn't make fun of anyone or talk about, and she had blood coming out of her wherever, like Trump would have done. There was not, it's so good hearing a president speak in complete sentences without saying sad or fake news, okay, or any of that other bullshit. It's just the best.
And he's telling us, he says at 1.2, these are extraordinary times and they're dangerous times. But here's the good news. In 2 months, we have the chance, not certainly, but the chance to restore some semblance of sanity to our politics. So he's telling you go out and vote, which is kind of the cool thing about the speech. He's talking about the state of American democracy. Go out and vote. How it's not a partisan. It should not be a partisan issue about trying to pressure the Attorney General, the FBI, to use the criminal justice system as a cudgel to punish our political opponents. It's such a good speech, and it's like I said, it's far too long for us to read the whole thing. But like, it's like, what a classy guy. Like he's brilliant. He's like, he's probably our most articulate president since, shit, I don't know, man. Maybe Kennedy.
I am yes, jelly donut.
Yeah. So he finally comes out. Like, I'm glad to hear from him. But yeah, so that's the most important thing is like, go out and fucking vote, man, because we can flip the house. You're gonna see some really important stuff, like the subpoenas that are almost assuredly gonna go out when the president is subpoenaed. It's gonna get stuck in a swamp if the House is still Republican, because they're doing everything they can to aid and abet this moron.
Yeah, they are. God, they have been obstructing America for the past 8 goddamn years. People don't realize how long the House has been a festering swamp of just deplorableness. It has been since the Tea Partiers showed up immediately after Obama became president, and they sailed to power on an ocean of racism, and then they just lodged there in the House, taking up just enough of it to push down the Democratic majority to less than half, and then they fused with the Republicans to become the Freedom Caucus.
So let's
and they've just sat there like a tumor for all this time.
We're running out of time. Let's end it on a high note. So we have some more Giuliani news.
We do. Before we do the Giuliani news, do we want to do the re-shout out?
Oh yeah. So we promised every episode that if you go and give us stars and leave us comment, we will shout you out on the podcast.
And at one point we did a shout out to someone, and Peter's like, "Oh," and he gave us a review, and I'm like, "Oh no, he didn't yet. I was just asked to." And Peter's like, "Nope, we I retract the shout out until he actually gives us a rating." Well, he gave us a rating,
which is news to the rest of you. If you listen to it, I would rather you go on, give us a rating and comment than actually listen to the podcast, because I would much rather appear successful.
The more ratings we get,
yeah,
rather appear successful than be successful.
Yes, exactly. Because are you really successful if you don't look like it?
I mean,
I guess our president.
That sounds like Donald Trump logic.
Yeah. Are you really successful if no one thinks you're successful? Yeah, I think that's how success works.
But what was I saying? If we get enough ratings, then we'll actually show up on iTunes like new and fresh category or whatever.
I think we're past that now. I think we're past new and noteworthy. It's been too many weeks.
New and noteworthy. That's it. Damn. Yeah. But whatever. We still need more votes so that we'll actually show up on people's feeds, and then we'll get like a balloon of followers, and it'll be terrifying.
So the shout out this week goes to Team Jacob, who gave us stars, and I mean, it was a very nice note he left, but I kind of grumbled about it because he's like, "Listen, you guys make news bearable, and I know that you're not really popular right now, but keep going." And I'm like, "You're not popular right now. Your mom's not popular."
I was touched that we made the news bearable for someone.
Yeah. That's the thing. If we can get people to tune in, like if people will stop going la 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 la, it's not happening. I think we've done our job.
Yeah, because remember what I was saying about the SCOTUS earlier, right? Like, I really do try to tune all that news out because, it's so fucking depressing. So I definitely understand, like, that feeling, but everywhere.
Yeah, no, I rage.
Because it really is that shitty everywhere.
I rage out on my way to work when listening to NPR because NPR, again, constantly does that thing where, like, and now an interview with the troll from under the bridge on the allegation that he's been eating billy goats. And of course the troll's like, "Yeah, this is clearly nonsense. Those goats were dead when I found them, and you can't fault a troll for eating a snack." And it's like, why are you interviewing the troll? Why do we need the troll's perspective?
Because they turned the fucking frogs gay.
So what's going on with old Rudy Giuliani, old crazy Giuliani?
Oh, so much is going on. Oh my God. Is this news from this week, or is this like my notes from previous weeks?
I don't know. You should probably.
That you're asking me about.
Oh, this week. You said that Trump is mad at Giuliani?
Oh, I think this might be an older story. But yeah, it's from rawstory.com. It's all your fault. Trump screams at Giuliani, blaming him for putting Don Jr. in legal jeopardy. According to Sherman's sources, Trump blames Giuliani for not taking up the job of Attorney General, which eventually went to Jeff Sessions. Because Giuliani would not have recused himself as Sessions did, the president's logic goes, Giuliani could have kept the president safe had he agreed to become AG. A person described by Sherman as close to the Trump family claims that the president is particularly furious with Giuliani because it appears that special counsel Robert Mueller's probe appears to be turning its attention to Donald Trump Jr.,
right,
who set up the infamous Trump Tower meetings with Russian government officials to get dirt on then rival Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, so that whole thing is they thought they were protected by going, well, you know what, it was a meeting, but you know what, we didn't actually commit a crime. Well, buddy, conspiracy to commit crime is still like attempted murder. As I've been listening a lot to this podcast called Mueller, She Wrote, which is great. They're far better researched. If you get a chance, go to iTunes, look up Mueller, She Wrote. But they also bring up the good point that, like, yeah, conspiracy to commit a crime is still a crime. Like, attempted murder is still attempted murder. You still go to jail for it.
Oh, speaking of murder, do you want to hear about how Trump is killing thousands of Americans and threatens to kill thousands more?
Yes.
So the Trump EPA wants to change emission rules in the Clean Power Plan, resulting in, by their own admission, the premature deaths of 1,400 Americans per year.
Yeah. So that goes back to their whole. If you look at the op-ed piece about like historic deregulation, yeah, it's effective deregulation, and that the companies save a buck, but you're going back to turning the environment to shit. So I guess you got to talk about your definition of effective.
So the next regulation and threatening of lives news is remember net neutrality?
Oh yeah, is that still dead?
Remember how it was supposed to be good that it wasn't being forced on ISPs anymore?
Yeah.
Well, Verizon spent days monumentally fucking over local firefighters in California because they weren't paying for a fancy enough data plan. And despite earlier assurances from Verizon that they wouldn't have their data throttled, had their data speeds throttled hard.
Yep.
And then refused to address the issue until the fire department upgraded to a plan more than double what they were paying earlier.
That's that kind of stuff is insane. Like, they're putting out a wildfire, they're a public entity. Like, that's why I think that, like, I don't know, man, like, we need net neutrality back. Like, we need, and we I think certain things, certain utilities that are for the common welfare should not be privatized, you know? That's why the internet should stay open and free and unthrottled.
That's oh my god. I don't get it either, Plank. So yeah, that's Trump threatening to kill thousands and possibly killing thousands more.
Well, I guess that's our show. It was a really big show.
It was a really big show. We do have even more Giuliani and other news, Pelosi news, but all that can be saved till next week.
Tune in next week to find out what Rudy Giuliani has done. And also, if you're listening, do me a favor. Write an op-ed piece to the New York Times. See how many we can just get them to publish by going, I'm inside the Trump White House. See if we can make it collapse.
Yeah. They've actually tried to do that before. There was this one thing called Operation, I can't remember right now, but it's like this one guy who keeps trying to publish fake news and getting different people to publish fake news just so he can be like, aha, it's fake, gotcha. Like he posed as a Roy Moore rape victim.
I was going to say Alex Jones.
No, like someone was doing this, and he fooled nobody because all these places that Trump saw is fake news. They have shoddy practices. They don't have shoddy practices. They actually do follow standards.
Yeah.
They have multiple sources for everything. They look into everything, and just because something fits their established narrative does not mean that they'll just believe it's true and publish it. Because they actually have standards that they hold up. Unlike Trump.
There's a thing in journalism to where you have to verify stuff. It's kind of like even in war zones where they were reporting from war zones, they were running into problems where like they would hear something, but I think there's a rule of thumb that you have to have it verified by like 2 or 3 other people before you report it as news.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Oh, and very quickly, what I was going to say last time, because this is like how I ended the last podcast. And we said, okay, well, we'll do it next time. Well, we almost forgot it this time. I just saw it at like the tail end of my notes. What I was going to say, but then like forgot what I was going to say, but then remembered later, is about Hillary Clinton and Hillary's basket of deplorables comment.
Okay.
Do you remember how during the campaign trail that was like the big thing? They were saying it's Hillary's 47% moment.
Right.
Which, to explain that for viewers that haven't watched politics as long as we have, whenever Obama was running against Mitt Romney was a secret tape of him talking to people came out where he was saying 47% of Americans are hopeless. We're not trying to get them to vote for us. And then that was used to destroy most of his campaign. Not that he wasn't a terrible person.
Or that he went on Telemundo in brownface. If you remember, he went on Spanish language broadcasting, but he put on really dark face makeup that made him look like he was in brownface, and everyone goes, "Is Mitt Romney in brownface right now?"
Yeah, there was a lot of things with him. But okay, with Hillary Clinton, it seemed to be that she was having her own 47% moment whenever she said basket of deplorables. And, a lot of the times I just let this slide because so much dirt has been slung at Hillary Clinton that it's not even worth the effort to clarify it, especially because now that she's completely irrelevant, right? Yeah. But at the same time, I really have to, stop and say, you realize that all that shit that people said about Hillary Clinton was complete bullshit, right? Like, she had nothing to do with Benghazi. 11 investigations into Benghazi by Republicans, by the way. It wasn't even Democrats investigating their own. It was Republicans, biased people who wanted to take her down, including, what was it, Nunes was one of them?
Probably.
And they all found nothing, right? So clearly nothing happened there at all. That was an actual witch hunt. Well, with the basket of deplorables, that's also just that's also just the right slinging mud at her. It's fictitious. Basket of Deplorables was not her insulting Trump's voters. She was very specifically talking about how he's supported by leaders of the KKK and the American Neo-Nazi Party and lots of other truly deplorable individuals.
Yeah.
She was specifically referring to all these people, and she was like, and he's supported by all these terrible people. It almost feels like half the people that support him are what I call a basket of deplorables, or in a basket of deplorables. So Fox News got that one soundbite of her saying basket of deplorables and pretended like it's what she said about all of them. And they just ran with it and ran with it.
Are you trying to tell us that Fox News is not a reliable news source?
I'm saying that one of people's main criticisms of Hillary Clinton, fictitious all along.
Fox News.
Never forget Hillary Clinton would have been an amazing president right now. We would not be putting up with any of
Fox
that.
News.
Well, not as much as this shit.
Fox News that recently just came out and said that George W. Bush is a radical leftist.
Did we say that on the air, or was that?
No, that was pre-show. But yeah. So Fox News can't. George Bush, radical leftist.
Yeah, the person that 10 years ago me and Peter were freaking out going, we're never going to have a president as bad as W again. It seems like every month something awful happens.
Yep.
Yeah, those were the days.
Don't count your chickens, folks.
Wait, wouldn't I count my chickens, Eddie?